Hi, my name is Scott White, the state senator representing the 46th district in North Seattle. Greetings from Olympia for this special sine report. It is with somewhat mixed emotions that I share this report. I'm glad to say that the legislature is finally finished with our work in Olympia, and I'll be heading home to Seattle to spend time with my family. As you probably know, a day after the legislature adjourned from the regular 2011 session at the end of April, the governor called us back to the Capitol for a 30-day special session to give us more time to deliberate and make thoughtful decisions about developing the state budget for the next 2 years. To the surprise of many, we did manage to finalize and pass the 2011-2013 operating, capital, and transportation budgets within a short time frame. However, I am incredibly disheartened to say that the budget we passed will reduce state spending on critical services by $4.6 billion, which is more than 12% of the overall budget. This budget was a budget of necessity. It was not a budget any of us wanted to pass, as we faced the worst revenue shortfall in our state's history. But ultimately, we had to get the job done in order to keep state government running. We knew going into this session that the choices would be painful and difficult. And throughout the session, the process of grappling with the economic realities facing our state only became more difficult and more heartbreaking. After many long days of deliberation, legislators from all 4 caucuses announced a compromise on the most inclusive budget process the legislature has seen in recent memory. Within this budget, we faced the greatest fiscal crisis of our time and were forced to address a roughly $5 billion shortfall in tax revenues that were needed just to fund state government at maintenance levels. As lawmakers, we have an obligation to balance the budget, and we did. But we also have an obligation to preserve our communities and meet the varied needs of our neighbors. After a long and arduous process, I think we met both of these goals. However, it's important to note that some of these cuts could have been avoided or partially mitigated by raising revenue, a policy option that was never really brought up for a vote this year due to political gridlock and a lack of votes. Not only did we fail to consider restructuring our tax system, which, as you may know, is one of the most regressive in the country, we did not even have the votes to eliminate tax exemptions or loopholes for special interest groups. This is largely a result of the passage of Initiative 1053 that reinstated a requirement for a 2/3 supermajority in the legislature to increase any tax or to repeal any tax loophole. Needless to say, these legal and political constraints have made it increasingly difficult for us to come up with realistic solutions to solving our vast budget problems. Still, this year we managed to avoid eliminating public services, aiming instead to preserve those services, and we did so at levels higher than what others proposed. We preserved the popular state-only children's health program, the Disability Lifeline, Basic Health Program, and our state's Food Assistance Program. We also helped restore funding for medical interpretive services, the National Board bonuses for teachers, and ECAP slots for 3-year-olds. All of these programs had been marked for elimination in the governor's preliminary budget. Not only did we preserve essential government services, we also reinvested in areas most likely to help families weather this Great Recession. Our proposal will reduce K-3 class size in high-poverty schools and maintain the state need grants while expanding worker retraining and low-income housing support. In the face of our current political and economic realities, preservation and expansion of each of these services is noteworthy. That's all for this e-News update. Please stay tuned for a more comprehensive overview of the policy changes and my bills passed by the legislature this session in the next issue. As always, never hesitate to contact me with your thoughts and questions about state government. And now that the session is over, I'll be available to meet with folks in the 46th district to talk about these important issues. Please know that I'm happy to meet citizens for coffee or to come to your community group for a discussion. Thanks again, and I appreciate your time. Again, my name is Scott White, your state senator from the 46th Legislative District.